The Hamadryad Walter savage Landor was born amid the hills where from Gnidos the light of Caria is discerned. And small are the white-crested that play near, and smaller onward are the purple waves. Thence festal choirs were visible, all crowned with rose and myrtle if they were inborn. If from Pandion sprang they, on the coast where stern Hamadryad her citadel, then olive was entwined with violets clustered in bosses, regular and large. For various men wore various coronals, but one was their devotion. T was to her whose laws all follow, her whose smile withdraws the sword from Mars, thunderbolt from Zeus, and whom in his chill caves the mutable of mind, Poseidon, the sea king, reveres, and whom his brother, stubborn Dis, hath paraded to turn and pity the averted cheek of her he bore away, with promises, nay, with loud oath before dread Styx itself, to give her daily more and sweeter flowers than he made drop from her on Ns dell. Rhykos was looking from his father's door at the long trains that hastened to the town from all the valleys, like bright rivulets gurgling with gladness, wave outrunning wave, and thought it hard he might not also go and offer up one prayer, and press one hand, he knew not whose. The father called him in and said, "Amperson quo. Son Rhykos. Those are idle games. Long enough I have lived to find them so. Amperson quo." And ere he ended, sighed he, as old men do always, to think how idle such games are. Amperson quo. I have not yet, amperson quo. Thought Rhykos in his heart, and wanted proof. Amperson quo. Suppose thou go and help Echion at the hill, to bark yon oak and lop its branches off, before we delve about the trunk and ply the root with axe. This we may do in winter. Amperson quo. Rhykos went. For thence he could see farther, and see more of those who hurried to the city gate. Echion he found there, with naked arms sword-haired, strong sinewed, and his eyes intent upon the place where first the axe should fall. He held it upright. Amperson quo. There are bees about, or wasps, or hornets, amperson quo. Said the cautious eld, amperson quo. Look sharp, O son of Thalanos. Amperson quo. The youth inclined his ear, afar, and warily, and caverned in his hand. He heard a buzz at first, and then the sound grew soft and clear, and then divided into what seemed tune, and there were words upon it, plaintive words. He turned and said, Amperson quo. Echion. Do not strike that tree, it must be hollow. For some god speaks from within. Come thyself near. Amperson quo. Again both turned toward it, and behold, there sat upon the moss below, with her two palms pressing it, on each side, a maiden form. Downcast were her long eyelashes, and pale her cheek, but never mountain ashes blady berries of color like her lips so pure, nor were the anemons about her hair soft, smooth, and wavering like the face beneath. Amperson quo. What dost thou here? Amperson quo. Echion, half afraid, half angry, cried. She lifted up her eyes, but nothing spake she. Rhykos drew one step backward, for fear came likewise over him, but not such fear. He panted, gasped, drew in his breath, and would have turned it into words, but could not into one. Amperson quo. Oh, send away that sad old man. Amperson quo. Said she. The old man went without a warning from his master's son, glad to escape, for sorely he now feared, and the axe shone behind him in their eyes. Hamid. And wouldst thou too shed the most innocent of blood? No vow demands it. No god wills the oak to bleed. Rhykos. Who art thou? Whence? Why here? And whither wouldst thou go? Among the robbed in white or saffron, or the hue that most resembles dawn or the clear sky, is none arrayed as thou art. What so beautiful as that grey robe which clings about thee close, like moss to stones adhering, leaves to trees, yet lets thy bosom rise and fall in turn, as, touched by zephyrs, fall and rise the boughs of graceful platen by the riverside? Hamid. Lovest thou well thy father's house? Rhykos. Indeed I love it, well I love it, yet would leave for thine, where'er it be, my father's house, with all the marks upon the door, that show my growth at every birthday since the third, and all the charms, overpowering evil eyes, my mother nailed for me against my bed, and the Sidonian bow which thou shalt see won in my race last spring from Eutychus. Hamid. Bethink thee what it is to leave a home thou never yet hast left, one night, one day. Raikos. No, 'tis not hard to leave it, 'tis not hard to leave, O maiden, that paternal home if there be one on earth whom we may love first, last, forever. One who says that she will love forever too. To say which word, only to say it, surely is enough. It shows such kindness, if 't were possible we at the moment think she would indeed. Hamid. Who taught thee all this folly at thy age? Raikos. I have seen lovers and have learned to love. Hamid. But wilt thou spare the tree? Raikos. My father wants the bark. The tree may hold its place a while. Hamid. A while? Thy father numbers then my days. Raikos. Are there no others where the moss beneath is quite as tufty? Who would send thee forth or ask thee why thou tarriest? Is thy flock anywhere near? Hamid. I have no flock, I kill nothing that breathes, that stirs, that feels the air, the sun, the dew. Why should the beautiful, and thou art beautiful, disturb the source whence springs all beauty? Hast thou never heard of Hamadryads? Raikos. Heard of them I have, tell me some tale about them. May I sit beside thy feet? Art thou not tired? The herbs are very soft. I will not come too nigh. Do but sit there, nor tremble so, nor doubt. Stay, stay an instant, let me first explore if any acorn of last year be left within it. Thy thin robe too ill protects thy dainty limbs against the harm one small acorn may do. Here as none. Another day trust me. Till then let me sit opposite. Hamid. I seat me. Be thou seated, and content. Raikos. O sight for gods. Ye men below. Adore the Aphrodite? Is she there below? Or sits she here before me? As she sate before the shepherd on those heights that shade the Hellespont, and brought his kindred woe. Hamid. Reverence the higher powers. Nor deem amiss of her who pleads to thee, and would repay, ask not how much, but very much. Rise not, no, Raikos, no. Without the nuptial vow love is unholy. Swear to me that none of mortal maids shall ever taste thy kiss, then take thou mine. Then take it, not before. Raikos. Hearken, all gods above. O Aphrodite? O Here? Let my vow be ratified. But wilt thou come into my father's house? Hamid. Nay, and of mine I cannot give thee part. Raikos. Where is it? Hamid. In this oak. Raikos. Now begins the tale of Hamadryad, tell it through. Hamid. Pray of thy father never to cut down my tree. And promise him, as well thou mayst, that every year he shall receive from me more honey than will buy him 9 fat sheep, more wax than he will burn to all the gods. Why fallest thou upon thy face? Some thorn may scratch it, rash young man. Rise up. For shame. Raikos. For shame I cannot rise. Oh pity me. I dare not sue for love, but do not hate. Let me once more behold thee, not once more, but many days, let me love on, unlove thee. I aim thee too high, on my own head the bolt falls back, and pierces to the very brain. Hamid. Go, rather go, than make me say I love. Raikos. If happiness is immortality, and whence enjoy it ails the gods above. I am immortal too, my vow is heard, hark. On the left, nay, turn not from me now, I claim my kiss. Hamid. Do men take first, then claim? Do thus the seasons run their course with them? Her lips were sealed. Her head sank on his breast. 'Tis said that laughs were heard within the wood, but who should hear them? And whose laughs? And why? Savory was the smell and long past noon, Thalinos. In thy house? For marjoram, basil and mint, and thyme and rosemary, were sprinkled on the kid's well-roasted length, awaiting Raikos. Home he came at last, not hungry, but pretending hunger keen, with head and eyes just over the maple plate. Ampersand quo. Thou see straight but badly, coming from the sun, boy Rikos. Ampersand quo, said the father. Ampersand quo. That oak's bark must have been tough, with little sap between. It ought to run. But it an year old. Ampersand quo. Rikos, although each morsel of the bread increased by chewing, and the meat grew cold and tasteless to his palate, took a draught of gold bright wine, which, thirsty as he was, he thought not of, until his father filled the cup. Averring water was amiss, but wine had been at all times poured on kid. It was religion. He thus fortified said, not quite boldly, and not quite abashed, Ampersand quo. Father, that oak is Zeus's own. That oak year after year will bring thee wealth from wax and honey. There is one who fears the gods and the gods love, that one and quo. He blushed nor said what one. Ampersand quo. Has promised this, and may do more. Thou hast not many moons to wait until the bees have done their best. If then there come nor wax nor honey, let the tree be hewn. Ampersand quo. Ampersand quo. Zeus hath bestowed on thee a prudent mind, Ampersand quo. Said the glad sire, Ampersand quo. But look thou often there, and gather all the honey thou canst find in every crevice, over and above what has been promised thee. Would thou reckon that? Ampersand quo. Rikos went daily. But the nymph is oft invisible. To play at love, she knew, stopping its breathings when it breathes most soft, is sweeter than to play on any pipe. She played on his, she fed upon his sighs. They pleased her when they gently waved her hair, cooling the pulses of her purple veins, and when her absence brought them out, they pleased even among the fondest of them all, what mortal or immortal maid is more content with giving happiness than pain? One day he was returning from the wood despondently. She pitied him, and said Ampersand quo. Come back. Ampersand quo. And twinned her fingers in the hem above his shoulder. Then she led his steps to a cool rill that ran o'er level sand through lentisk and through oleander. There bathed she his feet, lifting them on her lap when bathed and drying them in both her hands. He dared complain. For those who most are loved most dare it. But not harsh was his complaint. Ampersand quo. O thou inconstant. Ampersand quo. Said he, Ampersand quo. If stern law bind thee, or will, stronger than sternest law, oh, let me know henceforward when to hope the fruit of love that grows for me but here. Ampersand quo. He spake, and plucked it from its pliant stem. Ampersand quo. Impatient Rikos. Why thus intercept the answer I would give? There is a bee whom I have fed, a bee who knows my thoughts and executes my wishes. I will send that messenger. If ever thou art false, drawn by another, own it not, but drive my bee away, then shall I know my fate, and, for thou must be wretched, weep at thine. But often as my heart persuades to lay its cares on thine and throb itself to rest, expect her with thee, whether it be morn or eve, at any time when woods are safe. Ampersand quo. Day after day the hours beheld them blessed, and season after season, years had passed, blessed were they still. He who asserts that love ever is sated of sweet things, the same sweet things he fretted for in earlier days, never, by Zeus, loved he Hamadryad. The nights had now grown longer, and perhaps the Hamadryads find them lone and dull among their woods. One did, alas. She called her faithful bee. Was when all bees should sleep, and all did sleep but hers. She was sent forth to bring that light which never wintry blast blows out, no rain nor snow extinguishes, the light that shines from loving eyes upon eyes that love back, till they can see no more. Rikos was sitting at his father's hearth, between them stood the table, not o'erspread with fruits which autumn now profusely bore, nor anise cakes, nor odorous wine. But there the draught board was expanded, at which game triumphant sat old Thalanos. The son was puzzled, vexed, discomfited, distraught. A buzz was at his ear, up went his hand and it was heard no longer. The poor bee returned, but not until the morn shone bright, and found the Hamadryad with her head upon her aching wrist, and showed one wing half broken off, the other's meshes marred, and there were bruises which no eye could see saving a Hamadryad's. At this sight down fell the languid brow, both hands fell down, a shriek was carried to the ancient hall of Thalanos. He heard it not, his son heard it, and ran forthwith into the wood. No bark was on the tree, no leaf was green, the trunk was riven through. From that day forth nor word nor whisper soothed his ear, nor sound even of insect wing. But loud laments the woodman and the shepherds one long year heard day and night. For Iacchus would not quit the solitary place, but moaned and died. Hence milk and honey wonder not, O guest, to find set duly on the hollow stone.